We are going to start this half hour, though, with a mother and daughter turning the tables on a would-be robber who barged into their liquor store.
He was armed with a shotgun, but it turns out the ladies were packing as well. ABC's Zachary Quiche has more on this gunfight caught on camera. And we have to warn you, some of this video is disturbing. Zachary, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you as well. This could have ended much differently. A family-owned liquor store robbed at gunpoint, but in an unexpected twist, a mom and her daughter fight back. Without flinching, they came to each other's defense, and today, in an emotional interview, they recall how it all went down.
She was all I could think about. She saved my life. You saved my life.
He was armed and dangerous. Police say that's a thief, strapped with a shotgun, robbing this Tulsa, Oklahoma liquor store. It looks like he's about to get away with it. But watch, as the crook turns away, the mother-daughter duo grabs guns of their own. Mother Tina Rang takes aim and fires multiple rounds.
The next thing I know that I have my gun and I'm shooting him, and I get up and I shoot him again. And then he kept just coming back at me. The
alleged robber returned, shot in the leg and limping, but he won't give up. He wrestles her gun away, pistol whips her, and tries to go after her daughter, Ashley Lee.
Until you have a gun waved at you, and until you see, or you don't know what you're feeling or thinking, you know, looking at my mom's face. I mean, that it happened so fast, but it seemed like it lasted for so long.
But just like a scene out of a movie, she squeezes off a round at point-blank range. Mother and daughter fighting for their lives, finally able to run out of the store to safety.
I'm still here. I did do okay. My mom is still here. We're still here, and we're here to tell about it.
Tina says her daughter won't be working there anymore. As for the suspect, he's in police custody in the hospital. Police say he may be connected to at least 10 other robberies in the area. Pretty crazy video there, guys.
Harrowing.
In the instincts, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The instincts, it's almost incomprehensible after seeing that somebody would, the women would survive after seeing how close he was.
They went right for those guns, though.
Oh,
yeah, they did. Zachary, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Dead after a 71-year-old man says he was forced to defend himself in his own home.
The shooting happened just after noon today on Fay Meadow Avenue in North Columbus. The homeowner says a stranger kicked in his door, but didn't get any further than that.
10 TV's Glenn McIntyre live at the scene with the 911 calls that tell the homeowner's side of the story. Glenn?
Jerry, the coroner's office just left here. Crime scene techs remain on scene at this house, examining it for evidence of what happened here. The homeowner tells police he was simply defending himself, and investigators say at this point the evidence appears to support him. A body lies under a white sheet, the result of a deadly confrontation in the doorway of this Fay Meadow Avenue home.
Some guy broke into my house and I shot him.
Did it just happen?
Yes.
Is he still there, laying down, or is he?
Yes, he's laying down.
Where's the gun now?
It's in my hand.
Neighbors say the homeowner is a 71-year-old retiree who lives here alone.
A nice guy, you know. He's laid back, quiet.
Good neighbor?
Yeah, absolutely.
When police arrived, they found the suspect dead on the porch. They say the door had visible evidence of someone forcing their way in. They say the homeowner stopped him with a single shot.
Somebody kicks in your door and they're coming in your house. You don't have to wait for them to come in your house. There's a big difference if somebody's outside and they're, 20, 30, 40 feet away and they're not inside your residence. Different story. But someone is kicking in your door and they're coming in. Most people might consider that to be a threat, and they can take action.
Pat Woods is the coordinator for the Sharon Woods Block Watch. She calls this a tragedy for all involved.
I'm just kind of shaking now, and I'm not involved. I just think it's a very sad situation for everyone.
Right now, that homeowner, I should say, is at police headquarters being interviewed, but investigators say they do expect to release him. They have not released the name of this alleged intruder. They say this case will be reviewed by the grand jury. Reporting live in Northeast Columbus, Glenn McIntyre, 10 TV News.
And we want to point out that this is the second case in the past week where a homeowner shot and killed an apparent intruder. On February 19th, a woman living on Guilford Avenue awakened to find someone trying to get in through her front window. She grabbed a gun, and when she came face to face with the intruder, she fired several rounds. He died moments later. And that woman was also questioned by police, but has not been charged.
Overnight, a suspect shot during an armed robbery at an auto parts store. The gunfire was in Dalton. Laura Podesta is out there live this morning. Laura, what happened?
Terrell, it was a violent evening here at the Advanced Auto Parts store in Dalton. Police say around 8 o'clock last night, a man walked into this store. He was armed. He tried to rob it, and a customer ended up shooting that suspect. You can see the boarded up door where the bullets went through right here. That customer had a concealed carry permit, according to the Dalton police chief, and he fired his weapon because he told police the suspect was running at him with his gun. Now, here's what we know about that suspect. He's 20 years old. He was armed during this attempted robbery, and he was shot once and is in critical condition and at St. Bernard's Hospital in Chicago. We don't have that suspect's name, nor do we have the name of the customer.
Another shooting at an American high school.
You know, this is what we train for, this is what we prepare for, and this is what we pray that we never have to do.
But this time, the armed officer assigned to protect students at Great Mills High School in Maryland confronted the shooter. Authorities say Deputy First Class Blaine Gaskill fired at the same time the suspect turned the gun on himself. 2 students were shot and taken to the hospital. The shooter, a 17-year-old student at the school, is dead.
That's what we're talking about right now across the country. And, you know, the notion of it can't happen here is no longer a notion.
It's a stark contrast to what happened in Parkland, Florida, where investigators say the sheriff's deputy assigned to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School waited outside while 17 people were shot to death inside the building. Meanwhile, Gaskill is being credited with stopping the shooter from taking lives.
We're a very tight-knit community, and so now what I would ask our community to do would be pray for those victims and hope that we can return to some type of normalcy in our schools and in our community.
New video shows a store clerk shoot and kill a suspected robber.
This happened last night at a corner store on Harrison Avenue in South Fairmount. 9 on Your Side anchor Ryan Houston spoke with the owner today.
The store clerks are still on edge at Sam's Quick Mart in South Fairmont. They didn't even want to open the door at first, but after a while they did.
So what exactly happened?
What happened, he just came outside, brother. He came outside and he pulled his gun out.
Tickler Zucker said the store's surveillance cameras caught the whole thing. In the video, you see a man wearing a white shirt and a black hat walk in. Zucker says the man pulled something out of his pants and points it at him. A few seconds later, Zucker throws dollar bills over the counter. We chose not to show the next frame of video because of its graphic nature. But the video shows a second man on the right fire a gun and the accused robber falls to the ground. The whole thing happened in less than 30 seconds.
How are you feeling about all of this? You stood up for yourself, you stood up for your business, but, you know, how are you feeling about this?
I mean, I feel bad because the guy is gone. But, you know, at the end of the day, if somebody come and point the gun at you, that's the last option you have.
He says his family took over Sam's Quick Mart in June of 2016, and they've been robbed twice before this one. He said after the last time, his family made the decision to arm themselves to protect their belongings.
That's self-defense. We didn't even care about the money. As you see, you know, my cousin is giving him the money out, but he's still moving aggressively. Maybe he could pull the trigger and kill us.
That was Ryan Houston reporting. The suspect.
Down to a story News Leader 9 has been following overnight. Columbus police calling a deadly shooting self-defense. The incident happened just after 10 o'clock on Kingsbury Street in East Columbus, leaving a Phoenix City man dead. Joining us now is our Jose Zazaya live on the scene as this story broke. He joins us now back on Kingsbury Street, where police ultimately determined a homeowner was only acting to protect their family. What can you tell us, Jose?
That's right, Sharifa. Since the investigation last night advanced, they have been able to identify the man who they believe tried to break into this house behind me on Kingsbury Street, and we've confirmed this with the Muskogee County Coroner's Office. The 23-year-old Derek Curidan, and he was pronounced dead on scene by coroner's officials. Police say the homeowner shot Curidan, apparently defending himself from the suspected intruder. We actually went around the neighborhood, Sharifa, asking folks what they think they might do in this type of situation if they ever found themselves and their homes or their families under threat.
Somebody broke into my house and I had to protect my family. I'd do the same thing that person did. I'd shoot them if they were going to hurt me or my family.
Now, as you notice, that neighbor chose not to identify herself for fear she may be targeted. The same fear many neighbors we spoke to out here had, saying this is not the first time they've heard of break-ins happening on this particular street. But coming up later tonight on the news at 10, Sharifa will hear more from this concerned neighbor, as well as a closer look at where the investigation stands. For now, reporting live in Columbus, Jose Zozai for News Leader 9 on Fox 54. Back to you.
Thank you so much for that update, Jose. And also,
broke into someone's backyard to steal alcohol from a cooler, ends up in the hospital with a gunshot wound. A spokeswoman with the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office says the shooting happened this morning on Benston Palm Drive near mile 6.5 road in rural Mission. The homeowner told deputies that he saw the man outside of his house and confronted him with a gun. The alleged burglar jumped over the fence and got away. However, he was later found at the hospital where he was treating his gunshot wound. Criminal charges are pending while the investigation continues. And
police say a man staying in this house, 2097 Fairway Lane, beat one of the elderly homeowners with a bat early Sunday morning. The woman was left in the driveway with a serious head injury and transported to the hospital. After neighbors called 911, police say the suspect tried to break into a house about half a block away. That's when police say the suspect was shot in the stomach by somebody in that house. The suspect was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead shortly thereafter. People who live here describe this as a quiet neighborhood and are stunned something like this happened.
This is just hard for me to grasp the whole extent of it until I can find out for sure exactly what transpired. It's just really hard to believe that something like this took place here.
Neighbors described the elderly woman who was attacked as kind and sweet.
She was just a really nice lady. She'd stop and talk to me, talk about the dogs, the weather. She was always dressed in white, out walking.
Police say there is no threat to the public. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Lower Paxton Township Police Department. In Dauphin County, Jack Corpella, News 8.
A Greenville County man facing first-degree burglary charges because deputies say he was trying to break into a house. Now, deputies tell us this guy, 30-year-old James Smith Jr., was trying to enter a home on Blue Ridge Drive in Travelers Rest about 10 last night. They say he tried to get through the window. The homeowner warned him he would shoot, and then he did. Smith was shot at least once, taken to the Greenville Memorial Hospital. He is now in the Greenville County Detention Center.
We begin our newscast with developing news. Police say a Bedford Heights homeowner shot a man breaking into his home. Good evening, I'm Danita Harris.
And I'm Lee Jordan. Tonight we're learning the shooting may have put a stop to a crime spree. News Channel 5's Paul Kiska is live at the Bedford Heights Police Department. And Paul, first we understand that the man shot was rushed to the hospital.
That's right, Lee. He was taken to Metro Health Medical Center with one gunshot wound to his chest area. Now, Bedford Heights police say the suspect has a history of mental illness and that police officers are familiar with the suspect in this crime spree this morning. Now, this wild chain of events started to unfold about 11 o'clock this morning on Mardale Avenue here in Bedford Heights. A man tried to get into a house today where a person, possibly an ex-girlfriend, called police on him just a couple of years ago saying he was harassing her at that house. The suspect left that house, then smashed a flower pot, then smashed a car window with another flower pot before punching his way through a front window of the house next door. With bloodied arms, he entered that house. A 25-year-old man was home. He told the man to get out. He called 911, but when that intruder grabbed a kitchen knife from a drawer, the man pulled out a .45 caliber handgun and shot the intruder in the stomach.
He was calling for help when he called for the police, and then it was during the process of the response that this male was able to enter the home. He made numerous attempts to try to stop him, and I think what happened is that he felt he was in a choice where he had no other circumstance other than to protect himself.
Okay, so Bedford Heights police said that the man who shot the intruder is protected by the castle law, that he was trying to protect himself and his home during this wild scene this morning here in Bedford Heights. The intruder is expected to be charged with aggravated burglary and attempted murder himself. Live from the Bedford Heights Police Station tonight, Paul Kiska, News Channel 5.
Okay, Paul, thanks very much. Now, the homeowner made a call to police moments before he shot the suspect. In this call, you can hear him warning the man to leave and then tells police.
I just shot him. He came in my house. I shot him.
You shot him with a gun?
Yeah, he came into my house. He's trying to kill me.
Is he dead?
No, I don't know.
We have the entire 911 call on our website, newsnet5.com.
Be carjacker dead, shot by the man he was trying to rob. Rebecca Clough explains the shooter was legally carrying a gun and is now cooperating with Milwaukee police.
People living near 91st and Fond du Lac are concerned after an attempted carjacking happened the same time they start their day.
I'm scared.
Just before 6 this morning, police say a 21-year-old with a gun tried to carjack a man on his way into work. The victim had a concealed carry permit and pulled out his own gun and shot.
It's really sad, you know, that a person would do that as far as try to rob someone who's going to work.
A lot of young people think that this is a game and it's just only fun. This is not fun.
People say even if the shooting was justified, it's not something someone should have to live with.
Life-threatened, if you got the opportunity, then certainly I think it's within their right to go ahead and do that. Sad.
I think it's a tragic situation. It's sad.
In Milwaukee, Rebecca Clough, today's TMJ4.
Now, police do not think the man who was shot was alone. They are now looking for another car. The district attorney's office must now determine if that shooting was justified.
And now an 8 on your side investigation following a weekend shooting incident. A homeowner in Pinellas County shot and nearly killed an intruder in his backyard barn Sunday afternoon. The homeowner told detectives that he fired a warning shot at first and ordered that intruder to get off his property, but the intruder attacked him instead of running away. Mark Douglas joining us now live with the rest of this story. So he gave the warning shot, he gave the verbal warning, but yet it resulted in a shooting in the end.
He said he told him 50 times, Keith. You know, it appears after we did some digging today that we found out that the intruder apparently has some sort of mental health problems. That's according to his own grandmother. Now, she reported him missing and endangered just hours before the shooting Sunday, and he disappeared actually from her house 5 days earlier. 69-year-old Wayne Nundy served as a Marine during Vietnam and is proud of it.
He was in the Marines. So I know, he's going to protect himself.
But Nundy's son insists he's also a former assistant Gibbs High School principal who's not spoiling for a conflict with anyone, much less a gunfight. According to detectives, when this man, 29-year-old Jacob Desimone, showed up in Nundy's backyard barn Sunday afternoon, things turned violent very quickly. Nundy insists he fired a warning shot into the ground when Desimone came down some stairs and lunged at him, and then told him to leave 50 times while his wife called 911. But Nundy claims Desimone just kept circling and lunging and eventually threw a lawn chair at him. That's when Nundy shot Desimone once in the abdomen with his .40 caliber handgun.
I think he did a great job. I commend him. I really do.
No one answered the door at Desimone's grandmother's house, where he lives about 2 or 3 miles from the shooting scene. Neighbors say he's an oddball who comes and goes, but never seemed dangerous or threatening to them. We've been trying to reach Wayne Nundy all day long. His son tells me that he left on a pre-planned trip around 5 o'clock this morning, and that's why he's not home. We also spoke with a former prosecutor turned defense attorney, Vanessa Albaum, and she told us that based on the facts that we know so far, she does not believe that this guy is going to face any charges for shooting that intruder based on the facts, again, that we know so far in the situation. Keith?
Mark, you said the neighbors described him sort of like an oddball. What else do we know about this Jacob Desimone? Does he have any sort of criminal history?
Yeah, we dug up his record. He's been arrested 3 times for retail theft, possession of marijuana, and aiding a runaway. Nothing violent, certainly nothing like this. Now, he is expected to survive his bullet wound. There was some question as to whether that was going to be the case, but he is in Bayfront Hospital, expected to survive. And no charges filed against him yet either in this case. Detectives are still sorting all of this out, trying to figure out what's going to be going on. And of course, he's not going anywhere with that bullet wound in his stomach.
Well, once he heals up, maybe he gets some help that he needs, obviously. Thank you, Mark Douglas, reporting live in Pinellas County.
It was just a normal day at the Palms Internet Cafe in Marion County. You can see the customers chatting and playing their games. But they were interrupted by these 2 men. Watch as deputies say Davis Dawkins and Dwayne Henderson come in and wave a gun, pointing it right at the customers asking for valuables. But just seconds later, someone steps in. Look at the right of your screen. A man running with a gun, firing at the suspects. From another angle, look at the guys in black clothing with masks, one with a gun, the other with a bat. You see them, and then you don't. The next time they come into view, one of them is diving on the ground. The man, 63-year-old Samuel Williams. He's right behind them, firing. They leave. Williams, calm as can be, locks the door and waits for police. When questioned by detectives, he said he was with his wife at that cafe and was afraid they were going to shoot someone. He told them he was scared. And you wonder, did he hit either of the guys? He sure did. Marion County detectives found them at the hospital, both with gunshot wounds. So there you go. Williams, however, will not be charged. Dawkins and Henderson, they are being charged with attempted robbery.
Around 5 o'clock this morning, we received a call from Regional Communications that there was a burglary suspect in this neighborhood. Apparently, one of the homeowners was out walking his dog and spotted a suspect walking in between cars, trying handles, trying to commit one of those burglary conveyances that we know are so common nowadays. Suspects going in between cars, just trying handles to get inside the vehicles and collect whatever property they think is of value. That's exactly apparently what was taking place. The homeowner finished walking his dog, took the dog back to the home, continued to watch the suspect as he made his way down the neighborhood, and then he saw him approach his home. When he saw him come up and start trying to burglarize his vehicle, he came outside the home armed. There was an altercation between the two. The homeowner did fire his weapon, injuring the suspect, who was transported to Broward Health North, where he was later pronounced dead. At this point, we're not filing any kind of charges again. We're going to continue the investigation, and once the investigation is completed, the full case will be presented to the state attorney's office, who will be ultimately making the decision of how to proceed with the case.
Both were armed with pistols. She confronted both suspects. That female then retrieved a handgun and fired several times at both subjects. I understand it's a rental home, but there are several people that live in the home. But this morning there was herself, by herself, was in the house.
Just, you know what, in the state of Texas, if you're going to get on somebody's property, you're going to get shot. That's just the way we are. That's just Texans.
Thanks a lot. Well, a Colorado Springs homeowner says her tenant killed a burglar, and she did it to save her life. She says the man forced his way inside, and that's when the gun went off.
This happened in the 2900 block of West Colorado Avenue early this morning on the city's west side. KRDO News Channel 13's Emily Allen talked to a lawyer about how far you can go to protect your home. Emily?
Greg and Rana, there used to be police tape in this area, but that has been taken down. At this point, there is a window that has still been blocked off that was broken early this morning. The woman who owns this home, I spoke to her earlier today, and she is shocked by what happened here.
Colorado has attempted for a male to try to get into the house. RP did fire shots at the male. I'm not sure if he was hit.
This broken window serves as evidence.
He broke a window with a rock, tried to climb in.
Linda Orest says her tenant had no choice.
She was upset that she had to kill someone to protect herself.
The woman who lives in this house doesn't want to comment, but the home's owner is glad her tenant is okay.
And she warned him that she had a gun. For whatever reason, he kept coming, and she shot a warning shot into the wall. And then he kept coming, and so she had to shoot him twice.
Police initially got a call that there was a burglary in progress at this home and that shots had been fired. Now, when they showed up, they did find a man who had been shot, and when he was taken to the hospital, he was pronounced dead. Criminal defense lawyer Jeremy Lowe studied Colorado's Make My Day law.
Somebody has to be breaking into your house, that they have to be committing a crime once they're in their house, and that you have to be in fear that they are going to be using force against you.
Lowe says based on the evidence he knows about this case,
she absolutely will be able to use the Make My Day defense.
Colorado legislature adopted this law almost 3 decades ago, but it isn't used much.
It's a pretty unusual circumstance that people argue Make My Day. It happens a couple times a year.
Back at the home, Oris says this window will be replaced and covered with metal bars. She says her tenant is shaken up, but grateful to be okay. Greg and Rana, police have released very little information about this case at this time. However, we do know that at this point, they are not looking for anyone else. In Colorado Springs, Emily Allen, KRDO News Channel 13.
All right, Emily, thank you. More to come on that one. One person
investigators have wrapped up their investigation here at the scene. This all happened about 10 o'clock last night. Now, according to police, the clerk fighting back when these two robbers attempted to rob him at gunpoint, the clerk pulling his own weapon and firing back, killing one suspect.
A shootout between a liquor store clerk and two suspects trying to rob his store. The clerk killing one of those suspects.
It was scary because I have my daughter upstairs. I have my nieces upstairs too, and my family.
Brandy Martinez lives above Bottle House Liquor Store in Whittier and heard the gunfire about 10 o'clock Monday night.
We just heard pat, 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 and then we all came downstairs, and then the cops came.
According to police, two masked men entered the liquor store attempting to rob it.
Both were wearing hoodies. Both were partially covered as far as their face is concerned, wearing a handkerchief or some other type material covering the lower portion of their face.
At least one suspect pulled out a gun. That's when the clerk got his weapon and both began firing. One suspect was killed. The other fled the scene and is considered to be armed and dangerous.
We know that there is video surveillance, but they are trying to figure out which cameras were actively working, which angles work best.
The clerk was not injured. This morning, residents who live above his liquor store calling him a hero.
I'm so thankful that he reacted as quick as he did, because had he not, who knows, it could have really gone sour.
Now, again, that clerk expected to be okay. Now, according to police, there have been several robberies in this area in recent weeks, but police have not been able to determine if those robberies are connected to this robbery.